Today on Geek Devotions, we're talking about this image right here and searching for answers. Hello, devoted geeks, and welcome to Geek Devotions, a show from a couple devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. I am Dallas, and I'm so glad you hit the play button. Do me a favor, if you like today's content, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below and becoming a part of our devoted geek community here on YouTube. Recently, famed filmmakers, the Russo Brothers, had posted up this image on Twitter, and with this very interesting caption, "Look hard." Look hard at what? What are we looking for? People have been racking their brains for the last couple of days trying to understand what this image is. And I'll tell you guys right now that if you take a look at it, you zoom in a little bit, you invert the images, and you change out the colors. You got to change the colors out, invert them to the negative space, and all of a sudden what you see is, I really don't know. What is it about these teasers, these little images that people go in a frenzy? We've seen this happen time and time where there's this one little Easter egg that is put out either in a film or in a preview image, and people lose their minds trying to find hidden messages, trying to figure out what these things actually mean. And they are driven by it. They are passionate about it. All throughout geekdom, we are looking for these awesome Easter eggs. There are a plethora of YouTube channels that have devoted their lives to nothing more than to studying different videos, different genres, and books, and looking for secret hidden messages. All kinds of really great Easter eggs are hidden in the background, and they're searching for answers about things that maybe the people have left behind, that they, that sort of covertly were saying, but they weren't really saying at the same time, but they meant it at the same time. You guys know what I'm talking about. No, we're not talking about your run-of-the-mill tin hat people, but these are people like that really put some really in-depth, interesting scientific look into it. I'm not gonna lie, I find it very interesting, and I myself, when there's something that comes up that I don't understand, there's like a mystery to it, I dive in. I go, what does this mean? I'm hungry for the truth. I want to understand what's happening. Just like this image here, I looked at this image for a good 20 minutes today, going, all right, what's special about it? What, like the ladder makes an A. Look like there's maybe an E over here. What is happening here? I myself, I've been into it. I was like, what's happening? I don't know yet. As of making this film, we really have no idea what this image means, but there's some really interesting speculation. Truth of the matter is, we're all like this. Something piques our attention and we dig in and we try to discover the truth about it. We're hungry to know more and more and more. And we all have our thing. We all have our genre. Some of us we're passionate about comic books and movies. Some of us we're passionate about video games. Some of us we're passionate about collectibles and different things. And it's okay. It's cool for us to be passionate about these things. But if I could take a moment to step back and look at a grander scale, I want to ask you a really very pointed question. Are you this passionate about digging in and understanding God? Understanding who He is and what He has for you. I understand sometimes we go through these seasons where we're maybe not as diligent in reading the Word of God like we're supposed to be. But guys, there's so many great passages in there. There's so many great mysteries that are in there that God has left there for you to read through and unlock something new in your life. The more we get into it, the more He reveals not just the things that we don't necessarily like, but the more things that He's wanting to pull out of us to reveal who you could possibly be. I think a lot of people are scared to look at the Word of God because they're afraid that it's a book of no, and that there's just more restrictions put on them, but it's not necessarily that. But the more we dig into it, God's going, hey, look, there's something really neat here. There's a really neat aspect about you that I'm wanting to draw out. But you have to be willing to do certain things. You have to be able to walk through this. You have to unlock new things. But you got to dig in. You really got to dig in and read these things and understand and let it challenge you. Almost as much as how hard people were studying this image, we need to be studying the words that are in our scriptures. There's a group of people that we find in the book of Acts that were really very interesting. Why were they interesting? Because they were passionate. Paul was traveling and he was spreading the gospel. And in one area he was kicked out because they didn't want anything to do about it. So he comes to this other area, and there's this group of people called the Bereans. And something interesting happens when he presents the gospel to them. In Acts chapter 17, verse 11, it reads this: Now these Jews were more noble than those in Thessalonica. They received the word with all eagerness, examining the scriptures daily to see if these things were so. they were really intrigued by the things that Paul was saying. They heard that there was a possibility that the Messiah, the Mashiach that they've been waiting for all their lives has come, and he's fulfilled the prophecies, and then he was crucified and raised again 3 days later, and then now it's time for the church to assemble in what God's really called them to be. And so they were like, really? This is something that we're supposed to be? And so they were passionate about it. So they begin to dig into the scriptures. They begin to dig into the word to really understand it and to see if it's true. And they discovered it was. They were passionate and they dug in and they found something beautiful. I think too often, many of us, we've gotten used to this mentality of we go to church, our pastor tells us a bunch of things, we pick what we like, and we walk out of it, right? We don't really do the work to dig into the word. We don't really do the work to dig in and understand it in context. That's key. And really understand what God is saying. And guys, I'm telling you that's something that we are all called to do. Not just ministers, not just the person who preaches in your church every Sunday, but you as an individual. You're called to dig in and to try to understand. And if you run into some road bumps, ask for help. Ask people who know the scriptures maybe a little better than you, and dig in. I want to encourage you guys that when you read the scriptures, a couple of things to ask yourself. One, what's the context? What does it mean to the original readers? Because remember, these were letters written to people originally. Like somebody else read this. There was a purpose behind it. You were not the intended author or reader at the conception of these being written out. All right, so what was the original context of the letter? And then, as you understand the original context, you understand what it meant to the person, you ask, what's the practical application for you? What does it mean for you in your life today? And then the third question you ask yourself is this: how do I walk this out right now? Your next step forward. What is your next action step? I want to encourage you guys, dig in and dig deep. God has so many amazing things for you. I heard this quote once from a song, and it's really quite interesting. I don't know where it came from because I'm pretty sure he's quoting somebody else, but it says this: in the world there's many wonderful diamonds and gold and treasure, and I can tell you where to go dig and what to look for, but the digging you have to do yourself. In the same way, in the scriptures, in the Word of God, there's many wonderful gold and treasure and diamonds that God has placed there, and I can tell you where to go dig. These devotions every Friday, I tell you, hey, this is where you go digging. But unless you do the digging yourself, it's pointless. It really is. So go, dig, search, get wild with it, get crazy with it, have fun digging into the Word of God and striving to understand what He's saying and what He means in context and how it applies to your life today. Really appreciate you guys taking time to watch this episode of Geek Devotions today. Hope this devotional encouraged you and maybe challenged you to step out of your comfort zone with what you do in your normal time of reading the Word. That being said, I want to encourage you guys to check out a couple of really cool things that are happening. One, check out our website, geekdevotions.com. We've posted up several articles over the last couple of weeks, and they're really awesome. We've done book reviews. We've done comic book reviews. We've done articles from people who are professionals that are also passionate lovers of Jesus on how to handle life's issues like depression and anxiety. Check those out, guys. Let those things encourage you and let them challenge you. And please share the articles, the reviews on the books and the comic books, because they're really, really cool books that we want to encourage you guys to get out there and let people know about. Your question of the day is real simple. What does your daily time with God look like? What does it look like your time to study the Word and to dig in? I really do hope that your regular time with God is not just Geek Devotions. Like, these are great. These devotionals, these are awesome. These are not Bible studies. These are not like in-depth studies. These are little things to make you think and push you forward. And I hope that these maybe encourage you to go deeper into the scriptures and discover more. I hope that's something that's happening. So what's your normal study life like? That being said, every Tuesday on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Geek Devotions at 6:30 Central Standard Time, we are doing a Bible study on Facebook Live. All right, so we're going through the book of Matthew. This next week, we're going over Matthew chapter 2. Guys, I want to encourage you to check it out. This is an awesome, awesome time in the Word together. Again, thanks so much for checking us out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell symbol, because apparently subscriptions don't actually matter. So you hit the bell symbol, you actually get notified when we put out videos. And I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. All right, so remember, stay devoted, peace, and love.